Guru Nation, welcome to another episode of Random Musings from the Clinical Trials Guru. This is also going to go on YouTube. It's going to go everywhere, okay? LinkedIn, how's it going, guys? Instagram, we're going to shorten this up for you guys. I've got Munir El Azouzi from Switzerland, right? You're from Switzerland?
Exactly, yeah, I'm from Switzerland.
Medical device expert, reached out to me on LinkedIn. Now we're connected. Now I'm learning all about his YouTubes and his podcasts and everything he's doing. Okay, he's a testament for what you can do, what you should be doing if you want to if you want to build your brand in this space, which we talk about all the time on my Patreon channel. But you want to build your brand, everybody's got different things to share. Okay, it's not just me, not just Munir. I mean, you probably watching, you probably have things you want to share. It's not that difficult to get started with a podcast. I'm going to interview Munir in the first of what is going to be many interviews. And we're going to eventually talk about medical devices and regulations and get really tactical for you guys. Because I know I personally have some questions. For those hardcore followers, last year I did one of my first 510K, not one of, my first 510K. I was helping somebody submit it. It was so difficult. We're going to talk about this. But before we do all that, I want to talk about you, Munir, the person. Who are you? And I want to see how you got into the research space. Okay, and then it's very interesting with your blogging and all that stuff. So let's talk first about you early on. Who are you?
So I am, as you mentioned, a medical device expert. So mainly I am a biomedical engineer, and I started my career in quality and regulatory affairs. I didn't want to do that at the beginning. At the beginning, I wanted to be on research and design or this kind of thing to build the next medical device of the future. But I had to do an internship, and I've done an internship in quality and regulatory affairs, and really loved it. And I say, whoa, it's great. I thought it was just signing some papers, creating some documents and this and that, but at the end you discover that it's really creating the law for the company. So all the procedures, defining how people should do things, checking if they are doing the right things, and helping them also to reach the objective, which is providing the right medical device to the patients. So I started with that, and then I worked mainly on quality and regulatory affairs in many of the companies that I was on. The last one was Johnson & Johnson. So I just finalized my contract last year with them. And then I decided to create my own company, so easymedicaldevice.com,
Wow.
where I'm trying really to help
Congratulations.
people. Thank you for that. Yeah, I'm trying really to help people for them to understand what is a medical device regulation and to make it easy. And this is really the objective, is to make it easy, because I had a lot of people that reach out to me and to say, is it really difficult to move to the medical device field? They were mainly from the pharma industry, and they wanted also to switch to the medical device industry. And I said, they asked me, is it easy? And I said, no, it's not. It's not easy, but it can be easy, if I can say. There is a lot of people that make it difficult with a lot of wording, vocabulary that nobody understands. And I said to myself, why don't I start a blog about that? And my first article of the blog was mainly what is a medical device, just to start it simple. And then I started from there, and I bring a lot of the content to people, which really liked it, because at the end the objective was really to help and to educate people without asking anything at the beginning. And then from there I built my YouTube channel. Then I started a podcast. Now I have access to LinkedIn Live, so I'm doing some LinkedIn Lives with people. And if I can say, for a living, what I'm doing consulting. So I'm doing consulting for medical device companies to help them to reach the market, to, as I said, to place compliant devices on the market.
Mm-hmm.
And also I try to also provide them some documentation. So I created a shop where I created some templates or some courses or some documents where I put there, and people are buying from me, because mainly they are asking me the question, do you have documents like this? Do you have documents like that? So at the end I say, why don't I create it and I make it available to people on my shop? So which is what is happening now. And yeah, I reach out to you because mainly we have maybe some subject in common related to clinical research. Medical devices need some clinical investigation to be placed on the market. So at the end, I need an expert that we can talk about that and see what are the difficulty or what are the options for medical device manufacturers to place these devices on the market.
Yeah, I'm curious now. So your background in regulatory affairs, how long was that before you started your own company? And then
Yeah,
you must have seen some pain points because so you don't just start a company out of nowhere, you know? So
no.
how long was that and what did you see?
So mainly, yeah, I've worked within 15 years for as in quality and regulatory affairs. But 2 years ago, I had to decide what I should do next, if I can say. And 2 years ago, I had the chance to meet somebody who explained to me online marketing, explained to me what it is, how it is working. And at the beginning, I said, oh, I don't want to make an e-commerce and to sell some Chinese Chinese things
Right.
on the website, etc. But the person said to me, why don't you do something on your field? You know about quality and regulatory affairs for medical devices. Can you do something on that? And at the beginning, it was really difficult for me to say, what can I do on that? And when I was thinking, I said, okay, maybe I can help people to really understand this field and then to make a journey to be a consultant and help at the end people to understand that. So 2 years ago, I started my blog. 2 years ago, I started all what I was doing while I was working in my corporate job. And then at one point, I said, okay, after 2 years, I think I had enough traction. I had enough people contacting me and asking me, do you do consulting? Can we take your services and can you help us on some project? And I said, at the beginning, I couldn't say yes because I was working on my corporate job. So at the end, I said, okay, maybe it's really the time for me to quit and then to open my own consultancy firm and
Interesting.
then to help those customers. And now it's what I'm doing. I'm helping medical device manufacturers to reach the market like Europe, like US. I'm working also with some consultants in Brazil for the Brazilian market, in
Mm-hmm.
China for the Chinese market, etc., etc. So I'm growing my network. The objective for me is to not make competition with people, is to make networking, and we all have some interest to work together. So the idea is not to say I am the best and you are bad. It's no, we are all together and let's work together and find a way to make things good for our customers.
Exactly. So 15 years you've honed
Yeah,
your skills as an employee, and
exactly.
then you started the blog first before you branched out on your own, right? And through the blog you got your first inquiring customers, right?
Exactly. Yeah. Through the blog, as I've said, online marketing is not something that is easy because you have to learn SEO, you have to learn which keyword you have to use, you have to learn how to write an article, how this article can be really useful for people. It's not
Yeah.
just to write it, it's to write to make it useful for people. And that when they click on it, they say, yeah, I will stay and read it, etc. And yeah, naturally, as I've said, it went to video because apparently video is really something that people like. So I made some videos and put that also on my articles. So I've done a lot of things to really show people that I really try to help them and to provide them all the information they need. They don't need to go anywhere else to find the information. They just have to go to easymedicaldevice.com and they find that. So it was my objective and it worked
Wow.
really well.
I will put the link underneath easymedicaldevice.com. Yeah, so okay, interesting. So then you started on your own. How long ago was this that you started?
It was October 2019, so it's now 3, 4 months here.
Okay, wow, congratulations. And so, being in the medical device field for 15 years, right? I mean, that's crazy. Do you know, like, because I know that the industry, the medical device space is booming right now, right?
Yeah,
So are biologics. I mean, we're entering more of a era of personalized medicine, I think,
yeah,
in healthcare.
exactly.
But I don't see necessarily the traditional pharmaceuticals going away. I just see more of these medical devices than ever before, the studies. So, what are some of the key differences, I guess, for let's talk to the sponsors now, okay? Like somebody wants to create or apply for medical device license. Like for example, a 510K. Okay, like
Yeah.
what is the difference between that and going the IND route with a pill, let's say? Okay, like what are some of the key differences?
So yeah, first there is one is the medical device, so it can be anything. The problem is the fact that a drug is kind of a substance that you are ingesting or having with you. A medical device can be a scalpel, can be a pacemaker, can be a software, can be a chair, a wheelchair, can be a lot of things. So the difficulty with that is to say that you don't have kind of a guided route to say here is how you will place your medical device on the market. When for drug you have this guided route because you say first you have to do this test, then you have to do this second test, then this third test. So it's not the same things that you will have to use. For example, a wheelchair, you will not do a clinical investigation or clinical research on a wheelchair, but you need to prove that the wheelchair is doing what they say they are doing. But for example, a pacemaker that is class 3, or class 2, they have really to have some tests done, some clinical investigation, so to prove that they are efficient and they are doing the job that they are saying that they are doing, they are claiming. So the difference is mainly the fact that the intended use of the products can be really different with the medical devices, when for drug it's nearly the same as to cure disease. So there are some more investigation and some more discussion to have with the medical device company than with the drug company, because there is some technology difference, there is some intended use difference, there is a lot of things that can be different.
Mm-hmm. And people assume that just because, on the macro level, the FDA is the one in charge of all of these trials, regardless of device, pill, biologic, it's the FDA. People assume that it's just one department in the FDA. I mean, there's so many different departments, even for a 510K. Okay, there's like 20 different places you can send it to. So,
Yeah.
how does one even start? Let's do 510K. Okay, first of all, can you explain to people what is a 510K? You probably do it much better than me.
Yeah, so first, when you have a medical device, you have to define the classification of your product. So it can be class 1, class 2, or class 3. What is kind of easy with the FDA is the fact that when you know your product, you have to find the product code of your product. So there is a 3-letter code that is existing in the FDA. When you find this code, it will tell you what is the class of your products and what you have to do. So if you have a class 1, usually it's like a well-known product, low risk, everybody knows about it, so there is no kind of risk to put the product on the market. So there is sometimes a lot of exemptions, so it can be put without a quality management system in place, etc., etc. So it's an easy device to put on the market. When it's a class 2, usually it's a class 2, it goes through a 510K. So 510K is a process where you have to find a similar product on the market. So imagine you have, for example, as we talked about, a dialyzer. So if you want to put a new dialyzer on the market, you have to check first which other dialyzer are on the market. And you have to take those dialyzers as predicate for your device. So it means that you have to make a comparison to say, my device is really equivalent to this device that is already on the US market. When you are doing that, then you can do a 510K. So it is really a comparison between your device and this device to say, my device is similar to this one. It has exactly the same features, has the same function, the same performance. So at the end, I can put my device on the market doing this comparison with the first one. And you have the other stage, which is class 3. And here we are going through a PMA, so pre-market approval. So it means that it's really a huge process because you have some clinical research to do, clinical investigation to do to prove that your product is good. Usually it's with new technologies or technologies that are not well known, or where you need really a lot of data to prove that your product is compliant to be on the US market. So yeah, if you have to go for a PMA, it can be really painful for you. It can cost you a lot of money because, as I said, of all those clinical research. So there are more people that are trying to find a way to go through 510K, which is really a comparison instead of going for PMA. But it depends really on your products. It depends on what is the technology that you are using. So it's not, as I said, it's not like a drug. You have really to go through all this process to define what is the right pathway for your device to be on the US market. But there are still other pathways to go, but these are the principal ones.
Now, what if it's like a new, completely new device that has no predicate, right? Because these are called predicate device when you do the 510K. So if there's you created a brand new one, you have this idea, you've made a prototype, and but there's nothing, you can't find anything like it. You find maybe half of it being used and approved, and then another half of it. Can you combine those, or you have to make your
Yeah.
own?
No, you can use the data from features of one and have to do some clinical research or clinical investigation for the other features that you where you have no proof or you have no evidence that it's working correctly. So you can make a combination. But usually when you have really a new device, if it's really a new no, innovative device, first it will have no product code because it doesn't exist nowhere. So then you have to reach out to the FDA to find a way to have a product code for this device. Or if you don't have, then it's mainly a PMA. It's pre-market approval that you will have to go. So as I've said, it's really the painful pathway
Wow.
for you
Yeah.
to go. But it's why I don't. It's innovative, so it means that it can cost a lot for you, but as it's innovative and maybe performant, you can also make a business because nobody else has this device on the market. So it's also a win-win situation, if I can say, in terms of investing on this, but at the end winning a lot because you are an innovator and having the first one on the market. As soon as your device will be on the market and it start to be well known, everything, then the FDA can classify your device as class 2, and then all the other people that are coming after you can use your device as a predicate to put their device on the market. So it's also
Mm.
something that can be not rewarding a lot, if I can say, if they are using you to enter to the market and to compete with you.
Right, and this has nothing to do with the patents. I mean, you can't just copy someone else's product either, right? Like, and just make a few changes. That's through the patent office, right? So, should someone have a patent before they go this route? What's the
It's
process?
Yeah, it's. I mean, in terms of regulation, the patent has nothing to do there, if I can say. So as soon as you have a patent, so you can put this product on the market, it's fine. If somebody else comes with and is breaching your patent, is impacting with your patent, then it's more. It has nothing to do with regulatory affairs. It's more with law, and you have to go through in court for that. But at the end, the FDA is just looking if the device is similar, if we have already approved it, and then if we can approve the other device to be put on the market. But yeah,
Mm-hmm.
in the case of patent, it's really not entering into account here.
And what are some other pathways besides 510K and PMA? I guess the other one is can you
De
walk me through
novo,
some of the other ones? Yeah,
we have
de
a
novo.
de novo. Yeah, so it means mainly that it's a product that has some similarities but has no product code. So you have to request a product code for this one. See, it's why we call de novo. It's a new way, but it's a class 2. So it goes through the market as a class 2 product, but through this new product code, if I can say, new thing.
Ah, so for
There
de
is
novo has to be a class 2 at first? Is that the
it,
what the FDA will give it?
it's something that is more classified on the class 2, but as I've said, usually what is happening is the fact that when you are looking for a product code and you don't find it, you have to ask the FDA to create one for you for your product, and there the de novo path is going. You can go through that if you have, for example, a similar device as a class 2 but with some new features, but the product code that you find doesn't really fit with your new features, then you have maybe to go through a de novo and then ask the FDA for that.
So it's those three things: de novo, traditional 510K, or the 510K has different sub branches, and then
Yeah, they have traditional, they have abbreviated, they have special 510K. I have made a podcast episode with another consultant about that, where we discussed about what are the different 510Ks, what are the timing for that. We discussed with
man.
she's called Michelle Lott from Lindraka, and we had this episode specifically talking about what is a 510K and how we are going through a 510K and with the different 510Ks also.
Yeah, I need to subscribe because just 6 months ago I was in the middle of doing this, and
Okay.
I didn't find you. I don't know if you started yet back then, but I couldn't find anything other than some guy in New Jersey, which was actually pretty
Yeah.
helpful. He had some webinars. Can't remember that. I don't know if he used the word guru in his brand. I think he might have, but that was somewhat helpful. But I feel like having like a podcast during that time, I would have like basically brainwashed myself to, because it took me forever just to find out what's the appropriate pathway. Forget about all the details, just which pathway do I take? Because I was just given this thing and said, "Hey, help us with this." So, searching, looking at webinars, I found the right pathway. See, truly the right pathway would have been PMA, but my
Okay.
client did not want to pay that much. They specifically said, we want to go 510K. So then I said, okay, I try to make it fit. You can argue that it could, but
Yeah.
it was de novo. So you really would need to go PMA route, right? If it's de novo, you should go
It,
PMA.
it depends really. As I say, it depends also on the features that you have on your products. If the features, as I say, are really similar to a device that is already on the market, you
Mm.
can really go to de novo, but not PMA. Yeah, this is the complexity with that is the fact that each product has its own pathway to go, and the FDA can change this pathway because they say this product is now we find that this product is more risky, so maybe we can go up classify this product to class 3 now, so it has to go through PMA.
Mm.
But we can also find that this product now is really well known and there is no risk, so we can go to class 1, and then it's easy for this product to be on the market. So this is the kind of possibility for FDA to up classify or down classify some products, where when we look, for example, for the European regulation, there is a rule, it's this class and you have no choice, so there is no change of the classification of your device related to that. So
Mm.
this is the yeah, if I can say the good and bad thing that can happen with FDA. If it goes in one way, it can be bad, but if it goes in the other way, it can be easy for you then.
Yeah, traditionally the FDA is easier than European FDA, right?
It starts to be easier because now we have a new regulation that is coming to Europe, which is the medical device regulation that will be applicable by this year in May 2020. So I have a lot of customers from the US are now trying to find what are the changes to be done to their device or to their documentation to place their products on the market in
Mm-hmm.
Europe by May 2020. Because, yeah, the change of the regulation is applicable by this date and there is no grandfathering. So it means that all the devices that were even previously on the market have to apply the new regulation also. So it's a bit of a panic now in the Europe area.
Yeah. So it's not as simple as if you get this 510K approval in the US that can transfer anywhere in the world. It's not
No,
correct.
not at all. Not at all. As soon as you have your 510K in the US, it has no impact at all with the European regulation. But some of the documents that you will create, maybe a clinical investigation or some document that you will create like testing, biocompatibility testing, etc., that you will create for the 510K, you can still use them for the European market because the European market is also the same thing. It's kind of a checklist. It says you need that. Do you have it? Yes or no. If you don't have it, then you have to create it.
So some of these data that they want may or may not require actual clinical trials, right?
Yeah, exactly. So, what we have in Europe is the fact that some devices, like we call that class 3, but it's not the same class 3 in the US. So, in Europe, we have four classifications. We have class 1, class 2A, class 2B, and class 3. So, for class 3 devices and class 2B, some class 2B devices, you need a clinical investigation. For others, it depends if you have some clinical data for your products or not. If you don't have clinical data, then you need clinical investigation. But if you have clinical data that are existing, like some products that are already on the market, you can make some comparison to them. Then you don't need to torture any human to get some data for that.
Wow. Okay, so de novo, 510K, and PMA. Those are the
Exactly.
three for the FDA. If you have a device, it's one of those three, right? Or is there others?
No. There are other. As I said, we have class 1, which is really the lowest risk. You have class 1. class 2, and class 3. Class 1 is really the lowest risk. It can be exempt, so it means that you have exemption from a quality management system, exemption from post-marketing surveillance, so it's really the lowest class risk. In class 2, you have de novo and you have 510K. So you have the two elements inside. And as you said, under 510K, you have the traditional 510K, the abbreviated 510K, and the special 510K. And then class 3, you have PMA, so pre-market approval. So it's really the three steps that you have, and yeah, your device can fall in any of these.
Gotcha. So basically, I should be looking at it as the class 1, 2, or 3, and
Exactly.
then determine. So the initial, I guess you have to have initial conversation with the FDA. Do they do this for free?
Yeah, the FDA, I mean, FDA, nothing is for free because you have to pay a fee for registering your device, if I can say.
Sure.
But yeah, they have this kind of I can't remember how we call that. Some kind of discussion that you can have before to place your products or to send them the documentation to really make an analysis of your dossier. This is existing in the US, but it's not existing in Europe. In Europe, you have your file, you send them the file, and they have to say yes, accepted, or no,
I
rejected, or you
see.
have some non-conformities. Because in Europe, we say that the notified body, which is the entity that is checking your device, cannot make consulting. We call that consulting. What the FDA is doing, we call that consulting. They are helping you to find the right pathway. So it's making you some kind of consulting before you submit your device
Right.
to them. So
Makes
it's
me
a
makes
bit
me love
different.
makes me love the FDA even more. We haven't had, I think it's called a pre-call with the FDA or something like that,
Yeah.
pre-interview. I didn't do that because the my client didn't want that yet. They were stuck on this 510K and traditional
They were
510K.
they were afraid, I think, maybe that they will say to them, no, you have to go through a PMA or something like
Exactly,
that.
which after hours of Googling, I mean, literally took me 3 hours or maybe more, like five, to tell them, hey, I'm not an expert, but within my best educated opinion, you really need to do PMA. But you know what? The experience for me was so good doing that. Because look, I mean, I learned these things. I didn't know this before I did. I had learned it all myself. Forced me to learn. And I even had some of our CRA Academy intern graduates help me with this. So now they have on their CV, three people I think helped me, three of my students. On their CV, 510K prep and submission. Can you imagine what kind of
It's
experience
great.
this is? Right? Which leads
But
us to oh, go ahead, go ahead.
no, I just said it's learning by doing. It's not just learning by reading some blog or reading some articles. And I just have to say that FDA has really a great also website where a lot of guidance are inside, a lot of information are there. So it really helps you a lot to navigate through all those pathways. But yeah, learning by doing is the best because when you start to do it, then that you are asking yourself the question, why I do this, why I do that, and
Yeah.
what should I put here?
It was such a good opportunity. I didn't even do it for the money. They paid me like half of my fee. They still owe me, but I feel kind of bad if they don't actually get it approved. But I did it because I would have done it for free because of the experience that I got, right? And
Yeah.
I got to learn that FDA database where I looked at previous predicate devices and then I searched for product codes. So I learned all that stuff. To me, like that is invaluable. And you know, a lot of the people watching and listening are people that want to get into the industry. And
Yeah.
so a lot of times these jobs now are asking, do you have device experience? Okay, so or even knowledge or expertise. So if you are somebody that's wanting to break into the industry, okay, I mean, this might not be a bad place to look because everybody's still on the pills and, you know, the biologics now are coming out, but the devices is a huge unmet need. I mean, we don't have enough people trained to work in this space. What do you feel about this?
Yeah, no, you are completely right. We need more people, and it's why also I'm trying to educate more people to understand that. On my audience, there is also a lot of students that are trying to learn. But one thing that maybe they have to consider also, if they are thinking that pharmaceutical is most important, you have also to understand that at one point, pharmaceutical is needing medical devices. So having also the combination of information or knowledge about drug plus devices is will be really helping you a lot. Why? Because I have also a lot of products now that are, for example, pre-filled syringes. Pre-filled syringes are medical device that contains a drug inside. We have also all those oncology treatment that are existing, and you need a companion diagnostic. So it's just a device that is testing which molecule or which drug is more efficient for your cancer. So this is the thing that you need, and you cannot place your drug on the market without this companion diagnostic. So you have also to learn how to place this companion diagnostic on the market. So there will be some convergence between drug and devices. So if people are starting now to learn about also devices, they will get ahead of a lot of other people.
Yeah.
And when the manufacturers or the pharmaceutical companies will call them and say, do you have also some knowledge on devices? Because we are selling that, but we are also selling some devices that goes with it. You say, yes, I have that. Then it's also a bonus for you. It's a bingo for you. So learning devices can be really beneficial for all the students that you have.
Yeah, absolutely agree. And this is a perfect example of how, I have something I say on the podcast a lot. Everybody starts out as a specialist somewhere. Okay, like you specialized in regulatory affairs, I specialized in being a study coordinator on the clinical research side. But your job, if you want to grow and truly expand your opportunities, is to become a generalist. And become a generalist by becoming a specialist in different verticals. And
Yeah,
then when you need to, you merge them all together. Like, for example, this stuff with medical devices, okay? Guess what, guys? The clinical research is exactly the same. When they want a clinical trial, whether it's for a pill, a drug, a biologic, a device, a diagnostic, the trial is the same. The same GCP, everything applies. Obviously, the investigational product is different. But everything
yeah,
else, monitoring it, being a coordinator, finding the patients, doing all the regulatory startup 50, it's all the same. Okay? Really, the differences
exactly.
are in the beginning with regulatory affairs, what Monir does. Okay, so if you understand, you can do medical device CRA without really knowing the stuff Monir knows, but it's certainly going to help you if you do know, because then now you can level up what you can do, not just CRA, now you can actually help on the regulatory affairs side of things. So it's very important that you guys get educated on this stuff.
Yeah, at the end, medical device need the CRO, those companies to execute those clinical investigation because at the end they have to prove that their device is working well. So they need you for that. And it's why having the knowledge of what is a medical device, the basic knowledge, we don't say that, as I said, to be like a regulatory affairs expert, but just the basic knowledge of what is a medical device, to understand the different classification, to understand some of the kind of need related to clinical investigation in the regulation is sufficient. No need to know all the different stuff about it to be really seen as a professional and also a serious person to help this medical device manufacturer.
Right. Now, as an entrepreneur, and thank you for this interview, as we wrap up, I want to ask you a few questions. We're definitely going to do follow ups, okay? As an
Yeah,
entrepreneur, I can't help but think, okay, if I can find something that I can take as a class 1 or a class 2 and just go traditional 510K from another country,
yeah,
so how do I do this? Like, let's say I know a lot of people in a place like Pakistan. I'm just making it up now.
yeah,
But Pakistan, they have devices already approved in Pakistan, and I
yeah,
look and say, okay, I think that can be done here in the U.S. and I look and there's nothing there, right? Or even if there is something, who cares? I can now market because
yeah.
you and I know how to market now. We can do this podcast and all these things better than these drug companies can or the established devices. So, is it possible for me to actually do this? Is it a lucrative venture for me to go about looking for things I can bring into the U.S. Under this getting a 510K approval?
Yeah, it can be depends really. If you want to import those devices to the US market, you can make yourself as a manufacturer and have those companies as supplier to you. So it means that they are just supplying to you some components devices, and you are receiving them in the US, and then you are packing them as medical devices for the US market, and you have to register them through a 510K or class 1. It depends what is the device. As I said, all depends what is the device, which define then which rule or which pathway you have to go through. But I'm working with some companies in Pakistan, because there is a region in Pakistan which is called Sialkot, where they are doing a lot of medical device, surgical instruments. So they are really masters in that, and they are selling those products. They are exporting those products to Europe and US to some companies, not under their name, but just as a OEM, so original equipment manufacturers. And those companies in the US are getting that and selling them under their name as their device. So it's also something that they are doing. As you said, you have just then to go through those 510K or class 1 device registrations to place those products on the market. You will be seen by the FDA as the legal manufacturer. So it means that each thing that you have to do in the regulation are under you, but the FDA can also say, oh, you are not manufacturing that there at your place. Where are you manufacturing that? We have maybe to go and audit this place. But they are doing that just for really risky products, not really some low risk devices. So there is possibilities for you to import devices in the US and register them under your name, but you have to have really this agreement with the original company, because if they are doing any changes to the device, if they are doing changes to the raw material, changes to the design, etc., they have to inform you, and you have maybe to fill a change on the 510K because there was some change, if it's really a significant change. So you have to have really a close relationship with those companies that are providing you the devices. You have to audit them also, to go there to check that what they are doing is correct, and having this agreement with them. And you have also, maybe FDA will ask you to have an incoming inspection at your place to check that, the device is really as mentioned on the 510K, and is really provided the same features, the same result, the same performance. So you still have things to do, but it's a lot easier because you are buying that maybe from a country where it's really cheap, and you are selling that at a higher price in your country, which is what is happening with a lot of manufacturers.
So a lot of people in the US are actually doing this, is what you're saying.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, taking products from China, like for example, some gloves, some drops, some of those things that are already manufactured in China, instead of manufacturing them in the US, you are maybe getting a cheaper price there. So they are importing that in the US, and they are registering that as their device on the FDA website. So what you can do also is on the FDA, you can go and check per device. You have also what is interesting with the FDA website is that you have all the list of all the 510Ks of all the companies that you know. So if you have a company that you know, you can go to the website and check which device they registered, which 510K they have also, etc., etc. So you have a big database where you can also get some of your competitors' information, which is also important for your market search. You have also the mode database in US, where you can check all the issues that are happening with some devices. So if you see maybe you want to place this device on the market, maybe it's worth checking, is there any issues with those devices? Because if there is issues with those devices, maybe the FDA has more kind of warning when there is those devices that are put on the market. They will ask you maybe more questions because there was this issue with this manufacturer, etc., etc.
Yeah,
so it's some work that you have to do just before to place those products on the market. But yeah, it's worth
So basically,
the
once you get the 510K, and while you're getting the 510K, you could be negotiating with the OEM, the original equipment manufacturer, and then you basically are buying from them. Like, maybe they give you a good deal because you're buying in bulk, right? And then you sell it, who knows how much more, whatever the marketplace allows. So really the value then is, okay, obtaining that 510K and then rebranding it through your new company, right?
Exactly.
So what can you do once you get this 510K in the US? Like, from a marketing side, what are some of the rules? Like, what are you allowed to do, and what are you still not allowed to do with this 510K?
Yeah, the 510K is just the entry door, if I can say, to the US market. As soon as you have your 510K approved, you can start to sell your products on the market. But you still have to have your quality management. I mean, as I say, it depends really on the class of your product, but you still have to have a quality management system following the 21 CFR part 820, which is the GMP, the general, the good manufacturing practices. You have to have that, so it means that you have to have procedures, you have to have a compliant procedure, you have to have some elements existing to say that yes, what I'm doing is always the same, I'm consistent with what I'm delivering to the market, and if there is any issue on the market, I have a procedure to get those information and maybe to inform the FDA about the fact that I have this issue that happened on the market, etc. So it's not just buying and selling, it's also having all this ecosystem around your device to show to the FDA that what you are providing on the market is correct, and the quality management system is first thing. Then the other thing is to have really some people on your company that really understand the kind of problem, how to solve an issue, a regulatory or quality issue, how to drive, we call that a CAPA, so it's a corrective action, preventive action.
Kappa, yeah,
How to
same
do
thing
all
in
those
research.
things.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's all those things that people have to understand, because FDA can come and audit you at any time. The chance we have in Europe is the fact that they have to notify us, so like a 90 days notification. So that means that when we are in Europe, we are aware 3 months, around 3 months, 2 months before that the FDA is coming, so we can be ready. For a US company, it can be 1 week or 1 day or a few days before. So it's not like they are really giving you a lot of time to be ready for this kind of thing. So you should be always ready to have an FDA audit at your door and to be ready to show them your documentation, to show them that your product is consistent and conform to the specification that you had on the 510K. Because they will check what is on the 510K. For example, if you had made some changes to your device, but you didn't mention that to the FDA, they will see that it was not filled on the 510K, so they can also issue a 483, which is non-conforming form in the US. But if you have really some major issues with your company, they can issue a warning letter. And the warning letter is mainly the letter saying that if you don't correct that immediately, we can close your company and stop your business. So this is the thing that can happen. So don't think that just getting a device from another company is sufficient to make you a business and have a lot of turnover. The objective is also for you to build all this ecosystem around, to be sure and to prove to the FDA that you are selling a compliant medical device on the market.
Interesting. Okay. Yeah, this is very interesting. I mean, thank you so much for coming on. And we got to do
You're
more
welcome.
of these. We're going to do more of these. And we also got to talk, off camera, because there are some ideas and opportunities that I have through my Guru Nation network. People approach me all the time,
Good.
hey, can we do this? Can we do that? So, this thing comes up a lot, which is why I'm asking. And I think there's something we can do. Maybe we'll work with you. But if somebody wants to get a hold of you, Munir, you're obviously so knowledgeable about this, man. People would be crazy not to reach out to you. Okay, so how do they reach out? I will have your LinkedIn underneath
Yeah.
and your Easy Medical Device. What's the website?
.com.
.com.
easymedicaldevice.com. So it's making a medical device easy. So it's why I call that like that. But yeah, my LinkedIn is really the first place that I would go if you want to connect with me. What is interesting with the LinkedIn is also that I have now the LinkedIn Lives. I'm trying to inform in advance people about the topics that we'll go through in the LinkedIn Lives, and then you get notified. But the LinkedIn Live is a bit difficult to handle actually, because it's not kind of an invitation. So it's more like you are on my feed or on my connection. So then as soon as I go live, you get a notification to say I am live, and you have to watch that. But yeah, LinkedIn is the first place where I will go to contact me. Ask me any question, I will answer to you. I have a lot of people that are saying to me, "Oh, it's really nice you are answering questions without asking me to pay for that," because apparently a lot of consultants are just saying before I answer a question, you have to pay me this fee or that fee.
You
I
know
say
why?
yeah,
It's
just for
because you're smart. It's because you're smart, and that's the new way to do business in 2020.
I hope, because for me, when it takes just 5 minutes to just answer, here is the answer to your question, I will not bother to make an invoice, to make this, to make that, just for a 5 minute discussion.
Right.
So I prefer to give that for free, and people are happy. And I hope they recall me when they have a big project and something where they need my support. So it's most important for me.
Yeah, now let's end on a really stupid question from me, okay? So, how do you even know? Let's say you find a device, let's say somewhere in Korea, and maybe it's
Yeah,
in the beauty space, okay?
yeah.
How do you even know that you need a 510K? Like, is there an advantage? Let's say you don't need a 510K, but you get one anyways, just because you want to claim you have it. Like, is there an advantage to doing this, or like, how do you even know you need it?
Yeah, as I said, you have the product code is the first place to go to define if you need a 510K or not. The product code, when you go to look for the product code, you make a description of your device on the FDA website, and it tells you here is all the product codes that are similar to this device. Then you go one by one, and then when you hit this button with the product code, it will you will go inside, and it's like a information sheet says your device is like that. It's a class 2 or it's a class 1, and you need that to put your device on the market. So it gives you all the
Mm,
recipe to
mm.
put your device on the market. So it's easy to go through that. But first step, check for a product code. If you don't find the product code, then maybe you go through the hard route. As I said, to go to the PMA and everything. But when it's a low risk device, you should find the product code for that.
Yeah, because you know how they have supplements that you don't need to do clinical trials for, that they can just sell it. So I
Yeah.
guess I'm trying to find the medical device equivalent of a supplement, right? Like something the FDA says, well, this is, you don't need to do anything with us to sell this. But then maybe there's an advantage, just like with supplements, an advantage to get FDA approval because now they have a competitive advantage. So I'm just trying to figure out this world. We gotta have you on many more times because there's a million things I can ask you.
No problem. As soon as I know the question, I will prepare everything and I will try to help you on that. No problem
Yeah,
for
and
me.
sorry for the stupid questions, but when you get a business person, like I'm just gonna go at you and ask you because I'm thinking what I can do.
No problem. So let me know if you have any question. I will really help you as much as I can.
All right, thank you everybody. Thank you very much, Monir. We're gonna do many more. Go check out his podcast. What's your podcast called?
So medical device made easy podcast.
Medical Device Made Easy Podcast. I'm gonna subscribe right now. I'm gonna listen to it on
Thank
the
you.
car on the way to work. It better be
No
good,
problem.
man. It better be good, okay?
It's apparently it's good from what people are saying to me. So thank you. Thank
From
you
my
for that.
conversation with you, it's got to be good. So, thank you very much, Monir. Thank you, everybody,
Thank you.
for listening, watching, however you consume. It means a lot to me. And we'll do more with Monir. Okay, let us know in the comments what you want, have questions for him, and I'll get him on again for a part two. So, thank you very much. Thank you again, and take care.